good afternoon to all of you. And the topic of our discussion for the next half an hour, stated here, is the role of NGOs in the rising intensity of social responsibility. Quite a challenge, right? We've got a distinguished panel here. I'm going to ask you to do a few things. Would each of you take a minute, introduce yourselves, because I'm nervous just looking at your CV here. You guys are amazing.
I'm Leontien van Hoofd. I'm the founder of Green Dream Foundation. There's also a company, Green Dream Company, and there's also an investment fund, Ubuntu Impact Investments, and in this case we talk about the NGO. And I like to explain further, but this is 1 minute. Huh? I'm proud that we do not have a CSR policy. I'd like to explain this.
We'll do that.
Hi, I'm Philip Singh. I'm the foundation head of the Tan Yang Ki Foundation. Tan Yang Ki Foundation is the corporate foundation of the Lucio Tan Group of Companies. We have airlines, we have Philippine Airlines, we have Philippine National Bank, we have Century Park Hotel, we have University of the East, we have hospital, we have UERM, we have Asia Brewery, we have Tanduay Distillers, and many others. We have Victoria's Milling, who produce sugar. So we are the CSR arm of the group of companies. So I've been with the foundation for 19 years already. And I'm also an evaluator of the Philippine Council for NGO certification. That is a private body who process and evaluate the tax exemption for foundations in the Philippines. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I am Vrindavan Chandra Das. I head Gaurang Institute for Vedic Education, in short known as GIVE. We are into spreading the principles of Indian traditions, cultures, and values to help complete every individual's personality. And we have been doing it for I myself have been doing it for the last 37 years. I'm a hotel management graduate. I've been a general manager of a 5-star hotel. But I've given my whole life for teaching this knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me introduce myself. I'm Elisha Satwinder. As the MC introduced me, co-founder, my wife is somewhere behind there, Patrina. We started a foundation called Dignity for Children Foundation, primarily educating the urban poor and refugees. We've done that for the last 20 years. We've seen over 8,000 people come through the school. We have the first Montessori preschool in the whole of Southeast Asia, specifically for refugees and for the urban poor. And we have seen an urban transformation through this different, what you call, transformational enterprises, skills, and education, to see an urban impact through education. So CSR is very close to our hearts, isn't it? It is understood that there are over 10 million NGOs in the world and growing each day. So as our topic suggests, the role of NGOs in the rising intensity of social responsibility. It's quite a broader engagement here, but given all your marvelous abilities and what you have done, the heart, the core of what you do, seeing the issues that are rising. Because NGOs, if I may say this, kind of connect government, corporate, with the people on the ground. And if we don't understand who we are, then the failure is really catastrophic. I don't think we can do much from that. So each one of you, if you will take about anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes, we have about half an hour, then we'll take questions. What you see as best from your experiences, from your engagement, what is the rising issues, maybe two, that you see the most critical at the moment, that not only just need to be talked about, addressed, maybe some practical steps. Because I gather there'll be different people from various organizations here, and maybe we can connect the dots for them. Yeah? And as usual, chivalry is not dead. We're good gentlemen here. We'll start with the lady.
Well, thank you. At first, I like to address, I'm from the Netherlands. And in the Netherlands, there's quite a lot going on, also within the NGO policy. And I think that's very much of influence of where we are right now. There is a policy that's going on for 5-6 years now, and it's called From Aid to Trade. And that means that the way we look at NGOs has become quite different. And when that also has immediately impact on who you are. What I would like to address is I can a lot. We are in tourism area development in upcoming markets. That means we've got quite an international perspective on things we do. I like to say that, like I mentioned, I'm proud that we do not have a special CSR policy because CSR is within our DNA. And within, and I'm very sure that the only thing that we would need a CSR policy for is to get grants from government, because that's the only the opportunity that I get into trouble asking things, because they are not used. That companies are mainly focused around sustainable development goals. They are born for sustainable development goals. And that's something quite new, especially also in the Netherlands. And I think a lot of you know that the crisis we had in the Western world was something, and that's why I was so happy with our monk, his speech. The crisis we had in the Western world was one of greediness and of a value system that collapsed. And I have worked a lot in African countries based on introducing tourism in a wide scope as the sector is. I've worked a lot in African countries, and what I found over there, and that's why I was so very happy with your speech, I got familiar to the Ubuntu system. And the Ubuntu system is about dignity, it's about community values, it's about a community system that has got a place for everybody. You're nothing on your own, you only exist by the identity you get based on others. And what was, with the lack of that system in the value system in the Netherlands and in the Western world in common, organizations were looking for new ways of doing business. Well, that's where we came in. So our company is completely value-driven, and we have divided it into 4 values. And you want examples that could support people. And this is why I think we do not need a CSR policy. The projects we do are focused on 4 values, and the first one is it has to be financial sustainable. The second value we aim for is it must create social economic developments. So labor intensive, the gender case, everything is included in this one. The third value we select our projects for is that it is of ecological value. We must not contribute, we must not compensate, we must contribute. And that's even more. So projects are selected by that. And the fourth one is that the fourth value is that it must inspire people. This is about purpose, about meaningfulness. So our people select their projects and themselves together with us within the scope of tourism. And this is also of importance of how we find behavior of our own people that fits the company and so on. Okay.
Yeah, wonderful. So clearly, the driving core is a strong value system that develops the whole framework of all that you do and you exist for. Wonderful value system.
So, Tanyanki is from the Philippines. Maybe I can give an overview about the Philippines. Philippines comprises of more than 7,100 islands. So, meaning to say, logistics is very, very difficult and it's very, very costly. Okay. So, government experience difficulty in addressing all the needs of the countrymen. Okay. So, therefore, employment opportunities not always available in all areas because there are lots of areas that is not yet developed. Okay. So, of course, we have 7,100 islands, so corruption is not avoided. That's a reality. Okay. So, NGO in the Philippines, the government subcategorized into different category. Okay. And each category is supervised by a department, government agency, like the Department of Social Welfare or the Department of Education. Okay? So aside from the government agency who monitors NGOs, the government tie up with another NGO, what we call the Philippine Council for NGO Certification. They are the one who process, who evaluate your organization in 5 segments. Number 1, the vision, mission, and goal. They're going to assess your mission, vision, and goal. Number 2, they're going to assess your programs, the baseline data. Number 3, they're going to evaluate your financial capacity, which is the financial management. Number 4, they're going to evaluate your the system, the board, in terms of governance. Number 5, they're going to evaluate in terms of linkages. So they call it networking. So they're the one who visit your organization every now and then in order for you to have or to avail for the tax exemption from the government. Once you pass the evaluation, the government will give you a tax exemption certificate, which you're going to use whenever there is someone who's going to donate to your foundation. That certification serves as a seal of good housekeeping. So there is no corruption. Okay? All evaluators come from different sector of the organization of NGO. Okay? So the evaluation is being raffled. Okay? Nobody can make money out of the evaluations. And it's for free. It's a volunteer work. Okay? So that's the system in the Philippines. And then the Tanyanki Foundation is the corporate arm of the Luciatan Group. Okay? We comprises of 15 board members. Our board comprises of, we have the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Philippines. We have the former Prime Minister of the Philippines. We have educators. We have constitutionalists, and a lot more in different aspects in terms of agriculture, environment. Okay? And we have a team of professionals who runs the daily operations. Okay? So the role of the NGO in the Philippines, we, Tanyanki, is to support areas which the government has less exposure or less priority. That's number 1. Number 2, we govern or equip our own parent company to be a responsible company by adopting the ESG standard. ESG standard is economic, social, and governance. In other words, it's a sustainability report. So we guide our own parent company. Number 3, we we give immediate response to fortuitous event, like calamities. Okay? So in order for us to help the government. And also to protect, lastly is to protect the basic necessity of humankind in terms of clean energy, food, water, and clean air. So our sister company won several awards, the Green Apple Awards from Europe, because we are the first in the Philippines, way back 1970s, to have a water waste management treatment facilities. And we are also the first company in the Philippines to have a biogas methane company. We produce our own power in terms of our waste, okay, methane. We produce our own power by solar. And soon, we're going to have our own hydropower plant. So, more or less, that is our role of the Tanyanki in terms of as an NGO in the Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you. So far, I think we can look, values, the first values are so important. That the connection between government and the ground, especially where the issues, you talk about strong partnerships, integrity comes to mind, isn't it? Integrity comes to mind because we see so many issues on the ground. We see corruption taking place at the high levels. And sometimes it becomes systemic, it goes all the way through. And NGOs sometimes, without not really looking at it, they become a sieve, a gatekeeper for that. And besides the awards that both of you, your organizations have won, I think we come to the place we realize that our understanding of partnerships is connecting with integrity, utmost integrity. And if we don't watch those value gates in our lives, we're going to end up bringing the same problems right through. Yeah?
So that's why during the evaluation, integrity is being observed, transparency, and accountability. Okay?
Yeah.
So in all that 5 aspects, it's included during the evaluation. Yeah. There is a score for that. Not everybody can easily pass the evaluation. They may give you, evaluator may give you 5 years tax exempt. And after 5 years, they're going to revisit your organization to evaluate. They may give you 3 years, or they may give you 1 year. So that is, they're going to check on your integrity. Yeah.
Sure, wonderful. Sir.
What I'm going to talk about is going to be totally different than what you have been hearing for the last few hours. I'll start with a quote. This is by a famous, very famous British historian, Dr. Arnold Toynbee. He states, "It is already becoming clear that a chapter which had a Western beginning will have to have an Indian ending if it is not to end in the self-destruction of the human race. At this extremely dangerous moment in history, the only way of salvation for mankind is the Indian way." This man, he's no more with us now. He had stated this about a decade ago. And it came to my mind maybe 30 years ago, 36 years ago. What is this Indian way? Are we forgetting this Indian way? So what our organization, what we are trying to do is this, that tell ourselves first. Because he's talking about the whole world. He's talking about mankind. He's not talking about India. He's not talking of Philippines. He's not talking of Europe. He's not talking of America. He's not talking of any particular country. He's talking about the whole mankind as such. I'm not talking about the have-nots also. I'm not talking about the poor people who are there. No. Because the poor people are there because they are in a bad state because they don't have food. But the ones who have food are also in a bad state. Is it so or not? Why are there so much of depression in in a country like America? Why are there more psychiatrists now than they were previously? Previously, they used to have more dentists. Right? They used to eat more chocolates. They were much happier. But now they have got more psychiatrists. Is this what we are leading to? Are we thinking on that? Are we thinking the social responsibility about this? No, we're not interested. Are we also not poor in happiness? Are we not poor in peace? Is that poverty not taken over us? We need that. We also need. So, friends, we are interested not, you are doing a great work. I'm not saying anything against that. You're doing a great work. You're bringing the have-nots into haves. And we are looking after the haves. Who already have, but still they don't have. They look to be having, but actually they're the most empty people around. That's what I have seen. In the last 36 years, I've been teaching this knowledge. So this is what we are trying. Like for example, people ask me, what is this principles of the Indian tradition, culture and values, which actually the CSR policy states. The government CSR policy section 135 states this, that to organize events, to do work. What is that? I'll give you a simple example. It's not an example, I'll just throw some points at you. I'll not explain them, I don't have the time. Stress is good, tension is bad. That's what the principles of Indian tradition, culture and value tell us. How can you be simultaneously satisfied and motivated? Because motivation today, as I see it, as you must be also seeing it, is nothing but a covering, a nice name given to greed. It's a fact. Let us face it. That's not joke. Let's be truthful. It's a nice word given to greed, motivation. But can you be simultaneous? And how do you get happiness? We just had a lecture by our fellow panelist on peace. The principles of Indian tradition, culture and values tell us that peace comes through satisfaction. If you're not satisfied, you can't be peaceful. And if you're not peaceful, you can't be happy. So it is a three-tier system. It is not, you can't be directly happy, you can't be directly peaceful, you'll have to first be satisfied. But can you be simultaneously satisfied and motivated? Yes, it is possible. But if you have the knowledge. But today we are only motivated, we are not satisfied. That's why we're not peaceful, we're not happy. How can you have good productivity? So this is what we are trying to inculcate. Maybe we are very few on this planet who are trying to do this. There are some, I'm not saying we are the only ones, but yes, there are very few of them. Because I've seen people who have been have-nots have become haves, and they're saying now it was better when we were have-nots. So my only request, yes, CSR is very, very important, because you are the ones who have the moolah, the money. Yes, we should be truthful. We are the ones, we have given our life for this. So we need some feeding. Like my father was in the army. So I know about it that, yes, the army man can go and shoot, but he needs the bullets. And he needs the money to get the ammunition. So in the same way, we are the CSR people, we also need that. Do you not? Because we can't run around and do business and do NGO simultaneously. It is not possible. Sorry. We can't do both the things together. That's why NGOs are very, very, very important in the growing social responsibility sector. It is very important. And our corporate friends, yes, we have to partner. There is no other way out. Today, this world of partnership, right? It is stated in the principles of Indian tradition, culture and values that in this age, individually you will never succeed. The more the people you have, the more you are successful. You'll see in life also. Proprietorship does not grow so much. Next level comes is partnership. There also you are not very big. Then comes private limited company, that's what in India is. And then you come into a public limited company, and then there are MNC, where the whole world is involved. So the more the people are there, the more successful you are in your programs.
Thank you.
So I wish everyone all the best, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that impassioned. I think at the end of the day, whether we are here together listening to all the different panelists and all the various things, I think we cannot run away from one issue, the dignity of a person. I think our world so quickly, and whether we say it is an Indian way, non-Indian way, European, Western, I think we have all devalued the person. And therefore, be it greed, whether it's called motivation, whatever it may be called, we can talk about CSR values. I think it comes back to one very important thing, the value of a person. How do we see a person? By their culture, their ethnicity, the color of their skin, the place they were born in, the tribe. That is a person created in the image of God. And I think if we want to start, we can call it the revolution, we want to call it a movement, whatever we may want to call it. I think in this room, there's enough of mind, energy, brains, creativity, ability to go back and start. Maybe the revolution we should call is not CSR, is returning human dignity to the very creation of God, human beings. What do you think so, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for the underwhelming response. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? I think if we can turn around and today think beyond CSR and say human dignity. My wife and I have done this for 20 years. I often say seminary educated my mind. I was trained in a seminary. But the poor educated my heart because they made me look and think and ask questions that seminary and books never made me ask. And my wife would often say, I would see the child, and we work in the squatter community, the poor community. It's only when I see the child, I know what I need to do next. So I think our world beckons us to think beyond where we have thought. Not the past, but the future. But if I can bring it down to one thing, the role of an NGO maybe is to return human dignity to human beings, irrespective of who they are. And with that, we bring this to a close, and I think we have about 2 or 3 minutes for a quick question or two. Is there anybody? Sir? Yes, sir. And introduce yourself and tell us who you're directing the question to.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Vikramaditya Narayan. I'm from Bharatiya Janata Party. So my question is to Swamiji. You said about peace. I think in Indian context, you were saying that what is the meaning of peace? I think in Hindi we understand peace as Anand. And what does Anand means? That's my question.
You couldn't hear you clearly, sorry.
In Indian context, we say peace. You said peace in Hindi means Anand. So what is Anand? Shanti or Anand, what is? You get Shanti and you get Anand both. I want to know what is Anand.
You're absolutely right. See, basically, things which are tangible, I can explain them to you. But Anand is actually a Sanskrit word, not a Hindi word. And just for your information, so Anand is intangible. But intangible things are more important in life than tangible things. Now, what is Anand as such? When you derive satisfaction, what do you derive? Santosh. It is known as dhan. What is it known? The wealth through our Indian culture tradition, we understand that the real wealth is satisfaction. And that's what actually happens if you aspire for some position, some post, or something in life. When you get it, what do you get? The first thing you get is satisfaction. Now, but these satisfactions are temporary. But Anand is something which is not temporary. So you'll have to have permanent satisfaction. And when you get permanent satisfaction, and the feeling which comes after permanent satisfaction is actually known as Anand. So it's intangible. So you'll have to first strive for satisfaction. And how do you get that? So that I can't.
Thank you.
It will take a long time for that. But yes, it is possible.
Yeah.
So it's a feeling. Anand is a feeling which you get after you get permanent satisfaction. Anand and pleasure are two very different things. Don't mix them up. Bliss and pleasure are not the same. So this we have to be very clear about. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sure there are many questions and discussions we would like to get into. We could do it once they come down to the ground. At this time, I want to thank our wonderful panelists for this amazing presentation today. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a wonderful participant, and over to the MC right now.